whoa, 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 whoa. Get out the way, get out the way, get out the way, yeah. Yeah. Get out the way, get the fuck up out my way, yeah. Yeah. Win, 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 win.
Yo, this is Millennial Sport Talk. This is episode 21, and today we're coming back from our break. I had a long hiatus. Thank you guys for bearing with me. Had to go to San Antonio. Had to go to Miami again. I had to go to LA, but I'm back and I'm ready to talk some NBA basketball. Let's go. We got a lot of storylines in NBA this year, and we're going to cover a few of them. We're going to talk about Butler's trade, that whole situation with the whole team. We're going to talk about LeBron in LA, of course. We're going to talk about Anthony Davis. Where should he go in the future? But we're also going to talk about how there's a particular player in the NBA that I'm going to argue is the most overrated and has the most pressure on him for this upcoming season. So stay tuned. Clear the record, guys. I'm not an avid NBA fan to the extent that I have one team or any team. Let's just be honest. My favorite team was the Detroit Pistons for the last about almost 15 years. I stayed loyal to them since 2001. So it's been 16, 17 years at this point that I've really been a Pistons fan. Pistons, they just really disappoint me with their selections in the draft, their decisions and free agency and transactions. I can't get down with that. I can't get down with a poorly run franchise. And I guess you could say I'm still a Pistons fan until further notice, but I am currently putting my services out as a restricted free agent. I'm a restricted fan free agent. So I'm looking for a new team. And right now I'm leaning towards the Mavericks just because I'll let you know later, but I'm not going to give away anything parts of the episode. But obviously, the Lakers would be an easy choice, and I don't really want to be a bandwagon. Is it too early to be a bandwagon? How early is too early to be a bandwagon? Because I could have said I was a Lakers fan last year when I knew that LeBron was going to LA, but I didn't. So I live in Charlotte now, no longer the Miami Heat. I used to live in Miami for 3 years, so I was thinking about being a Heat fan, but there's also the Hornets. So I have options here. You guys help me decide where should I pledge my allegiance for my NBA team. But that being said, I'm completely neutral at this point in time. So let's go ahead and kick into the episode. Things first, let's go ahead and talk about the elephant in the room, and that's LeBron. LeBron is in LA. The Laker fans are at an all-time high of obnoxiousness. I mean, I support LeBron, don't get me wrong, but some of these fans, man, they just come out of the woodworks talking about how Lonzo Ball is so good, which, I mean, maybe they've always said this, but now it's just since LeBron is there, everything's bigger. People are declaring that the Lakers might be the third best team in the Western Conference, which I could see that's a possibility, but I'm not going to go out and proclaim that as factual when it's not factual. They have a lot of work to be done, and they don't have a lot of shooters on that team. I hope you're not expecting Lonzo Ball or Brandon Ingram to be consistently shooting the three. Definitely not Lance Stevenson or Rajon Rondo. Heck, even LeBron's not consistent at shooting the three the way that we expect them to be the third best team in the NBA, or at least in the NBA really, or the Western Conference. So, I don't think they're by any stretch better than the Celtics. They're probably better than the Raptors, but I think it will definitely be interesting because it's so weird seeing LeBron in that Lakers jersey. That's an iconic jersey, and that's an iconic name with an iconic number. You mix all those together, and it's just right. Something about that's just right. And I really look forward to seeing what they're going to do. Just seeing the highlights of LeBron as a Laker taking this team that was been the worst team in the NBA for I don't know how long, and just a random assortment of players and see what he can do with it, because this would be his greatest accomplishment. It could be better than what he even did by bringing a championship to Cleveland. But that is the storyline over the Warriors at this point, because we already know the Warriors are going to win the championship. That's not fun. That's not interesting. It's just what's going to happen, and the only thing that's going to prevent that is the Warriors themselves, because there's no reason for anybody to be able to beat the Warriors this season, especially after adding Boogie Buzzins. Lonzo Ball. I hate getting all the statistics and everything, but you're really looking at Lonzo Ball and you're trying to tell me this guy's better than Dennis Smith Jr.? I don't see it. Is he better than Spider, Donovan Mitchell? I don't see it. Lonzo, like, the dude, if he did not have a big mouth father, if he didn't play on the Lakers and he didn't go to UCLA, you wouldn't hear anything about him. I promise you wouldn't hear anything about him. The only reason why he has the clout or the brand that he has because what his father did by putting him at UCLA, yapping his mouth all the time, singing him over there. Can you imagine if you've never seen Dennis Smith, if you've never seen Dennis Smith Jr. play, please look up Dennis Smith Jr. highlights and imagining Dennis Smith Jr. You can look at his college highlights too. Imagine him at UCLA. Imagine that guy. And I'm going to show some clips here too. Imagine this guy at UCLA. Imagine how hyped it will be around him. And imagine him playing for the Lakers doing this. It will be ridiculous. I mean, they would have a legit argument for this guy, because Dennis Smith Jr. is going to be the next. You can say Westbrook, as I say it. I mean, the guy can do everything. He just got to stay humble, grind, and stay dedicated. And he doesn't need to change his form and figuring stuff out like Lonzo does. Because Lonzo's shot is hideous, and I mean, his stats might get it. We'll see what happens with him. But Dennis Smith Jr., keep an eye out on DSJ, because DSJ is the truth. And I hate that he's got Doncic now, so Luka Doncic, we'll see what they're going to do over there in Dallas. I don't expect nothing this year, but as soon as they replace that bum Harrison Barnes, I think they might have something to cook with. And, of course, Dirk has got to retire soon. But they're one more piece away. If they got to stink it up this year and they go ahead and get themselves a top forward, whether he's a 4, a 3, or heck, even a 5, a center that plays like a forward, that's going to be a team to reckon with in the future. I'll keep an eye on the Dallas Mavericks. Lonzo Ball would even be relevant if Markelle Fultz turned out not to be a bust, because that's really the problem, is that Markelle Fultz is a bust. And since so far he's a bust, he hasn't done anything in the league. We're looking at the next guy picked, and we're like, okay, Lonzo's good. Compared to Fultz, he's doing something. Storyline has trades. We see Melo to Houston. Is that going to make a difference? I don't think so. People saw Melo make one preseason 3 and already proclaiming them, oh, I told you it'll work out. Stop. It's not. Nothing has happened yet. Give them time to melt down. They will. Chris Paul will get hurt, and then it will be over again, because Chris Paul's old. And the Houston Rockets with Harden by himself. This is another reason Harden's a fraud. And I will say this, he's not the most overrated player in the NBA. And the reason why he's not that title anymore is because he's won MVP. Even though I don't think he deserved it, the fact that he won it makes it harder to push a case for him to be as overrated as he truly is, because he is very, very much overrated. But no, he's not the most overrated player in the NBA. So going over to the biggest transaction, we're also talking about Jimmy Butler. That's the thing. Jimmy Butler was really the guy we expected to make his way to LA to replace Paul George. Obviously, Kawhi was another candidate. And I think Butler ultimately wants to go to LA. I think the play at hand, if you paid attention initially, he only chose teams in big markets. One excuse is because, they can pay him the money that he wants. But also, if you're going to spend 1 year of basketball just in a random city, because clearly whoever he trades them to, he only has 1 more year in his deal, why not spend it in New York? Brooklyn, Knicks. That's why they're on that list. Why not spend it in Miami? Why not spend it in LA, in the Clippers, where all you're going to have to do is you don't even have to move. If you go to the Clippers, you'll just sign with the Lakers right then and there. That's the best case scenario. That's what's going on in his head at that point. Miami came up because they're the most interested. But, after those cities, Miami's next on the list. I would rather spend a year in Miami than Dallas, or spend it in Miami rather than any other place that would take Jimmy Butler. So by no means do I think that was not strategic. That's a completely strategic move by Jimmy Butler, and just making sure he's comfortable for this year. If things don't work out, that's the other thing you got to remember, because if Kawhi goes to LA, Jimmy Butler is more than likely not going to go to LA. So he's setting himself up for a fallout plan, a backup plan, that if he doesn't make it to LA, at least he can at least be in LA with the Clippers. He can be in Miami, or he can be in New York. That's what's going on there. So as far as the management perspective, this is not exactly the same deal with the Le'Veon Bell. I know we've talked about that a lot. Or Kawhi Leonard. This is a guy who's already been traded against his will. He's already been traded against his will from Chicago to Minnesota. He tried to make it work, but the team he's on, these millennials, he's a millennial too, but these guys are the true negative essence of the word millennial. Andrew Wiggins and Karl Anthony Towns, in that they just don't have that dog in them. They don't have that dog in them. And if you are playing to win championships, I can understand why he's frustrated, especially with Tom Thibodeau. He already knew what Tom Thibodeau was. He got away from Tom Thibodeau in Chicago. Now he's back. He's trying to put the same garbage-ass team together. And why would you want to stick around in Minnesota, of all places, for that? At least he was in Chicago. He had good food to eat. He had restaurants. He had out nightlife. Minnesota? Minneapolis? It's trash, man. It's trash. I've been there. There's not much to do there. And then to throw in the fact that all he's going to do is hear about how good these other guys are, watch them count their money, and sit back and relax and not care. I'm sure there's more to the story than meets the eye, but the fact that these guys let Butler do what he did in the practice and nobody challenged him, that's pretty eye-opening to me. I was very surprised at that, and I lost a lot of respect for Karl Anthony Towns and Andrew Wiggins. Those guys just aren't dogs. They're not alpha dogs. They're not leaders, and it's going to be hard to convince me otherwise if they really want to win. The only thing that's going to be able to convince me is if they do win, they have to make the playoffs, and they're going to have to get far in the playoffs to prove otherwise. Other than that, they're just collecting a check in my eyes. That's what Jimmy Butler's told us. And last thing on this subject, what is Minnesota doing? They don't want to trade them. Like, Minnesota is doing the dumbest thing possible when they've been offered. Miami's offered them good deals. They have good deals. And this is why my point is, I think I talked to somebody on Twitter about this. They do have the leverage. They had the leverage because they can always say no. And they've gotten a better deal because of their ability to say no. And so we'll see if the pot gets sweetened. But Jimmy Butler isn't that great of a player that you need to give up multiple number one picks. One number one pick is probably enough, or more than enough. And the fact that I don't know how much better of a deal you're going to get when you're getting picks and players for a guy who nobody truly knows where he wants to play for the rest of his career, because that's what you're aiming to get. If you're trading for Butler at this point, you're aiming to get him for the rest of his career, at least the next 5 years till he's 34 and he's washed up. So Minnesota, you screwed this up, because either you're going to lose him for free. You got time. They got time. But Thibodeau, you're just going to get fired. That's what, if you're the owner, if he screws this up, you fire Thibodeau. I wouldn't even let him finish the season. I would fire him before the season's over. All right, so now we got into the part that I really want to talk about. And that's who is the most overrated player in the NBA today? The answer is Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving. And, I wanted to put a lot of more thought and research into this, but it's something that it's just subjective. And I'm going to tell you why I came to this conclusion is because Kyrie Irving thinks more of himself than Russell Westbrook thinks of himself. Now that's hard to compare, but this dude Kyrie Irving was really willing to just completely leave a situation where he gets to the finals every year to go to any other situation. Now he lucked up. He could have been traded to any other situation. He got lucky and he got sent to Boston. And that's like another reason why he's the most overrated player. Because before Kyrie got Boston, they had Isaiah Thomas at his position. They had the number 1 seed in the East, and they made it to the Eastern Conference Finals where they got destroyed by the Cavs, who had Kyrie, right? Next year, Kyrie's on that team, the Boston Celtics, and they also go to the Eastern Conference Finals without Kyrie, without Hayward too. They didn't have Hayward the year before either. So they went to the same position they were the year before, number 1 seed, or number 2 seed actually. That was different. But they didn't have Kyrie, and they did the same thing and lost to the same team, the Cleveland Cavaliers. So this year, there is no LeBron. Okay, you have no excuse not to get to the finals. You should be playing. Most of the year. So Kyrie's got pressure. If you don't get to the finals now, what are you? What's your value? I mean, it's already bad enough he would never win an MVP because he doesn't do enough on the court. All he does, he scores points, but he doesn't score points more than a KD. He doesn't score more points than Curry. He scores decent. He's 25 a game. Heck, this is my thing. You ask yourself this. If you put Kyrie Irving on the Washington Wizards and you swap John Wall, put John Wall on the Celtics, are the Celtics a better team or worse team? Are the Wizards a better team or worse team? Because widely spread, people believe that Kyrie is a better player than John Wall. But I disagree. John Wall plays both ways. John Wall can command an offense. Kyrie, he's a ball. Let's just be honest. Cole, what is he? I mean, he's not a complete ball hog, but typically the play stops when he gets to him. He's another James Harden who doesn't get the assists. So Kyrie is so overrated at this point because I've seen some people call him a top 5 player in the NBA. Kyrie might not even be a top 10 player in the NBA. Yeah, I said it. He's not even top 10. There's 10 other guys I'd rather have over Kyrie. Should I count them out? LeBron, obviously. KD, obviously. Curry, obviously. Westbrook, Kawhi, Giannis, Anthony Davis. That's 7 right there. Now, this is where it does get tricky because you got 8, 9, 10. I already said John Wall, that's 8. Normally, I would say you could put this, Jimmy Butler. I don't know. That's kind of near there. I would definitely rather have Jimmy Butler over Kyrie. That's 9. And then you can say Paul George. I'd rather have Paul George over Kyrie. That's 10. Now, are those two players that much better? I can understand there's an argument of why you would say, no, I would rather have Kyrie over them. But Kyrie's basically a 2 guard playing the 1. He wastes that position at the 1 because he's not a creator. He's not a distributor. Your 1 guard is supposed to be that guy. And if you're not having it out of 1, you got to find somebody else who does it at a 2. And there's not many guys who distribute the ball at a 2 guard because that's what you are, a shooting guard. Your job is to shoot the ball. So you can see how that's an issue for Kyrie Irving when he wants to play the 1. that's why LeBron was probably one of his best fits, because LeBron's the best distributing, forward or three. I mean, Ben Simmons could work well with Kyrie, but I don't see him going to Philadelphia. So, yeah, I mean, really, that Kyrie is probably about 11th on my list when it comes to top players in the NBA. All right, so that really wraps up this episode. I was thinking about doing a power rankings for the NBA, but it's pointless to me. It's just pointless. I don't want to fake do something that my heart's not in it. That's one of the benefits of being and, doing this myself. I don't have to put out some bullshit that I act like, oh yeah, this is what's going to happen, when we know the Warriors are going to win. What's the point doing the power ranking when you know the Warriors are going to win? So until I see something different, I might bring this up. I don't know how often I want to do the NBA episodes, but I'll do it every so often when things happen. And there's some type of rant, or I let somebody else get up here and they can point their case. But clearly LeBron's still the best player in the NBA. And that's another thing. People put their top 10 lists out to argue and pick and prod. Maybe I'll bring somebody up here to do that. If you want to, let me know and we can have a discussion over that. Otherwise, it's like, we know, everybody knows LeBron's still the best, but the Warriors are the best team. And KD, come on, KD, bro. You went to a 73-9 What do you expect? People are not going to respect you as much as you want to get respected when you go to a team that's already won a championship. You go to a team that just had the most historic run of all time. You can't. You're obviously, we expect you to win championships and be dominant. So Durant, you're just, I won't say a snake, but you're just a dick rider, right? That's what it is. But you're still second best player in the world, and we can wrap our episode up with that. We can enjoy Celtics Sixers tomorrow night. And that's basically the East right there. We're kind of interested in the Raptors a little bit, but let's just be honest. Kawhi Leonard, he's going to bore us. We're not really going to be interested. OKC and Golden State, that might get interesting. It's a late game, 10:30 TNT, but 8 o'clock, all eyes are going to be in Philly, Boston, and I expect Boston to win that, of course. So that's all I got for you guys today. Peace.
Young boy, what happened to your mid? What happened to your hair?
What you talking about?
Your head. What happened to your head? That's what I'm talking about.
Don't disrespect me like that. I know you got me on snap, dog.
Yo, you on some nut shit though, cuz. Like, why you outside like that, cuz?
This is my hood, you know that, right?
I'm not worrying about none of that. Your hood on some weird shit. Have you walking around with that nut
They call
ass
me
cut?
Patch, dog. Don't disrespect me.
Oh, they call you Patch? You on some shit, Patch.
What you talking about?
You on some shit.
Don't do that to me, dog.
You on some shit, you hear me?
Listen, you're not gonna keep talking to me like that, dog.
You on some shit, Patch.
I don't even know you, dog.
So what you trying to do? You want me to get out the car or something? What you trying to do?
Me at the park.
I can see
I'm
you right
a young
now.
boy. I'm no bitch.
So what's up? You trying to get it in there right now?
Don't do that shit to me.
I'll get out the car right now, youngin. What's up? What's up? Let's get it. What's up?
Go ahead, dip, dog.
Oh, all right. That's what I'm saying. Patchy, you on nut